If you're one of the millions of pet owners in the world today, I guarantee that at some point you've asked yourself the question, do animals have souls? Now, I'm not going to keep you hanging. The answer to this question is yes, but that's not even the half of it. The connection between humans and animals goes much deeper than you could ever imagine. And when I first figured it out, it blew my mind.
Mind's blown. You're welcome.
In this video, I'm going to explain why animals have souls, how animal and human souls are the same but also different, how and why they're connected to one another, and what all of this has to do with karma. But before we dive into it, let's first of all get clear on what a soul actually is. You know, this is such an important thing, and yet there's so much confusion around it. So I'm going to share with you the absolute fundamental factual truth that was explained to me by the Council of Light during my own spiritual awakening. And I promise you that one day science will validate this. A soul is a consciousness. It's an intelligence. It's a non-physical and immortal being which roams around the universe, by which I mean all 13 dimensions, not just this one, incarnating into multiple physical bodies at a time and also carrying out its duties in the higher dimensions. So because it's doing all of this simultaneously, of course, a soul is multi-dimensional, and that's why we can access realities beyond our own. Now, a body does not work without a soul. The soul is the spark of life. So it's the Tony Stark to the body's Iron Man suit.
I am Iron Man. The suit and I are one.
So if we look at it from your personal perspective, you are one part of a bigger soul called the Oversoul incarnated into your body. You are a part of that immortal soul having a temporary physical human experience. Okay, so why do animals have souls? Well, it's not just human bodies which need the soul's spark of life to animate them, it's all bodies. So everything sentient must have a soul to be able to work. But here's the thing. There isn't a separate category of souls for animals and souls for humans. All souls are the same. Animal and human souls come from exactly the same oversouls. In fact, I can guarantee you that your very own oversoul is not only incarnated in your body and other human bodies on this planet right now, but also in a number of animals. And in fact, you might even know some of them. So this is what I mean when I say that animal and human souls are the same. But what do I mean when I say that they're the same but different? Well, this comes down to the vehicle. If you put engine oil in a Ferrari and engine oil in a Reliant Robin, the engine oil is the same, but the vehicles aren't. So in this analogy, the engine oil is the soul and the vehicle is the body. Basically, animals have a different brain structure to humans. So therefore, the soul has a different experience when it's driving an animal body. And that's because the brain is the physical, mechanical 3D tool which gives us access to the universal mind across the various dimensions. You can only unlock the bits of the mind that the brain has the keys for. Now, this truth about animals sharing the same souls as we do is not just an interesting side fact. It's fundamental to understanding how humans and animals are connected. You see, all of the animals around you, just like all of the humans around you, are members of your extended soul group. And that's the case whether we're talking about your rescue dog that you adore or your neighbor's cousin's hairdresser's pet ferret. The difference is that the animals which are closer to you in this environment are usually also closer to you in your cosmic soul group. So your dog might well have the same soul as Grandpa Joe. And as I'm sure you know, it's not uncommon for people who have pets to see similarities between their animals and someone in their family. Now, in a moment, I'm going to explain why souls from the same soul group incarnate together in both human and animal form and what this has to do with karma. But first of all, I suspect that some of you might have a burning question related to this topic, and that is, do animals go to heaven? You know, in accounts of near-death experiences, people often tell of being reunited with a deceased pet. And that's because animals go through exactly the same process at death as humans do. So when you're on your deathbed, which is not as depressing a thought as we make it out to be in our society, you're just as likely to see your childhood rabbit as you are your great-great-grandmother. And where do the spirits of souls end up when they pass over? Heaven. Yes, it's a real place. Yes, we go there. And yes, our animals do too. Animals go to heaven. I'm going to link you to a video in the description which will explain a lot more about the dimension of heaven. Okay, so now to the heart of the matter. Why do fragments of the same oversoul incarnate in both humans and animals at the same time? Why do soul groups interact in both human and animal form? There are several answers to this question, but first of all, let me just clarify, no animal comes to you by accident. Just as with important human relationships, these connections are planned and orchestrated. You and Tiddles were meant to be. Basically, the fact that you and the animals in your life are part of the same soul group means you have karmic connections. Your respective souls are going through a cycle of incarnating together and providing experiences for each other, both positive and negative, to help you learn. It's a partnership. And this is one of the major reasons that souls incarnate in animals and are paired up with humans. It's to help us learn. And I'm sure you know that animals can do that in all sorts of ways. Now, sometimes these cycles can last many hundreds of lives and produce very deep bonds. And we call the souls that we have these deep bonds with soulmates. So yes, your cat or your dog might be one of your soulmates, at least an animal version of them. I'm sure that idea is resonating with some of you right now. If you live with other people and you have multiple pets, you will have observed how an animal can attach more strongly to one person than to another. And that's because animals are able to intuit soul group and soul family connections far more strongly than the average human can. They're responding to your unique frequency and how it resonates with their own. So your dog might be paired with you and your cat might be paired with your husband. And these connections will be visible in the way that the animal attaches. Of course, you might also come across an animal who really doesn't like you straight from the start. And in this instance, it could be that the soul of that animal belongs to another team to you in the game of life. Or it could be that there's some negative karma in your shared past that it's intuiting. I remember when I fostered Morris, one of my cats, he came to me as one of a pair of kittens who had been rescued from a rubbish dump. And from the moment that Morris and I met, he was my cat. It was clear that he recognized me. He came straight to me and he was on my lap purring within 5 minutes. But the other kitten, May, took an instant dislike to me and she did not warm up the whole time that I looked after her, which was a good couple of months, even though she was fine with other people. So that's a good example of karmic dynamics. Now, as well as helping us learn, another reason that a member of our soul group might incarnate as an animal in our household is so they can look after us. And if you've ever gone through a period of depression or a bereavement, anything like that, you'll know how comforting the company of animals can be. Many lives have been saved by the love of a pet. But there's one more surprising reason why members of our soul group incarnate alongside us as animals. And that is so that they can offset the harm which the human version of that soul has done to us in this lifetime. And to understand this, you have to remember that we are all friends in the higher dimensions. So even though someone might have hurt you, and a common example is a narcissistic parent or a partner, at soul level, they would never want to do you harm. So incarnating alongside us as an animal allows that soul to show you that love. They're showing you they love you in a way that their human counterpart cannot do. And of course, all of this is a lot easier to understand if you know more about the game of life. So you probably want to watch this video next.